It's just I try to think logically, and it's just stunning to me. You
Yeah.
mentioned President Trump. I know you're going to go to the Alabama Georgia football game with him. When Trump goes to something like that, you mentioned his work ethic. Famously, doesn't drink, doesn't eat, or eats obviously, but doesn't sleep. When you go to something like that, or when you play golf with President Trump, how locked in is he to what he's actually at? And everything that's around him, campaigns and policy and people coming at him.
Yeah, I've got to know President Trump quite well. When you play golf with somebody, spend 4 or 5 hours at a time, you really get to know him. He's totally different, just one on one. But he has a persona that he's very competitive, and he is. He is somebody that takes no for an answer, doesn't take no for an answer, and he loves United States of America, and he's a people person. He is not one of these statues that's a politician that all they do is believe in one way and is the highway. I mean, he understands sometimes you have to adjust to make things work, to make things better, but he's for the American people. And thank God we got him. But the deep state knows that. And let me tell you something. You've seen what they've tried to do, and they're not finished. They are not finished. That's the reason we're calling in this letter I sent the Secret Service. We talked to the military. He has got to get help. I'm going to the Alabama Georgia game with him next week in Tuscaloosa, and he'll be in. The host is Rick Meyer. They're a good friend of mine from Tuscaloosa, but it will be a side show of itself. Now, him moving, from one place to another, because we got to be very careful, because these people mean business on the other side, because they know Donald Trump is the one thing standing in the way of them taking over the United States of America and turning it into a socialist communist country.
Coach, what's it like getting him? How much is involved in getting him and you? Hell, you probably need Secret Service at an Alabama game, for crying out loud. How difficult is it to get him to a game, a simple thing like going to a football game? And why is there even a consideration, or why is it even a debate to get the man more help in terms of Secret Service? That should be an automatic.
Well, first of all, if they didn't give him anybody, it'd still go. I mean, you're not going to tell him that he can't do something, but it takes hours and hours of planning to move a guy like Donald Trump. You can just imagine, same thing with the President of the United States. They all need to be protected. We live in a dangerous world. I've had over a half a dozen death threats myself. And matter of fact, they just arrested one. I think it was somewhere in South America. They finally caught up with them. But that's the part of the job of doing politics, because it is so divisive now. And again, we go back to one thing: mental illness is rampant all over the world. And you see the people that have taken shots at President Trump. We've got to be very careful. Again, sometimes he doesn't announce where he's going, but obviously if you're going to go to the Alabama-Georgia game, there's nothing bigger happening in the South than that game next week. And it'll be an entourage going and coming. So I look forward to, I can't say I look forward to being part of that entourage that has to go through all the bells and whistles, but I love being around President Trump, and he's going to see the people and be around the people of this country, and that is his job.
Coach, I was broadcasting, Mike Tirico and I were broadcasting an Iowa basketball game, and a state trooper put on Facebook, if anyone's in Carver Hawkeye Arena and has a gun, shoot Dakich in the head. I mean, I get people are idiots, man. I get that people are insane. Auburn football. Cal got him. What are we thinking here?
Well, they're still rebuilding. They got a new coach as of last year. He didn't have a great year. It was very average for an Auburn team. They didn't, their quarterback was struggling. He threw 4 or 5 interceptions in the Cal game. They came back last week and started a redshirt freshman from Lipscomb High School there in Nashville. I think he's going to be very good. But again, they're in the building mode. They've got Arkansas this week, Oklahoma next week. And so I'll go the part of the Oklahoma-Auburn game and then get on a plane and fly over and meet the president over at the Alabama-Georgia game. So, hey, that's icing on the cake for me. I love football, so I get to see part of 2 games. But again, I love this part of the year and basketball season right after that. It's a lot of fun. But I tell you, this NIL, we won't get into this, but NIL is just about to wear me out just listening to all this stuff.
Coach, I just read, I don't know if you get a chance, maybe you have, and maybe I read Armin Contain's book about this, and the crap that is going on with this NIL of players holding coaches hostage. We're not going to play a game unless you get me another 100,000. I'm not going to go to a bowl game unless you get my family this. Honest to God, I was in this sport, basketball, for 25, 30 years. I never seen nothing like that. I don't know how you do it. Something's got to be figured out, and I'm glad that you're at least taking a swing.
Coach, we saw this happening in your and my era when we turned the Olympics was one of the best thing that I've ever watched over the years in terms of total sports. When our amateurs went over and played against other people's professionals, hey, I was fine with that because, hey, at least we're doing it the right way. We're giving other people opportunities. Now we've got, all of our professionals we see every day, and they go play again, and there's no competition to it. But that's kind of leaked now down into college, and I've always been for players making a little bit of money, but for people to make $3 or $4 million, and then, as you said, hold coaches hostages, and hey, I got to make more. I'm going to another school. I mean, it's let's get some parameters around it where young men and women can make money, but they got to stay at a school and, number one, get an education. Because if you pack your bags and go to another school, you lose your hours, and it takes forever to get that degree, and that's what it's all about.
When I was coaching, you were coaching, there was something called APR where you had to have somebody graduate. You had to have people. Yeah. I have not heard one damn thing from one coach or one player or one mommy or one daddy about education in the last 2 years. Not one thing.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And of course, we got hammered. And what did we do? We spent most of our time talking about don't talk to an agent, don't sign anything, watch out for gamblers. You can't take anything from boosters. I mean, now it is totally opposite. They've all got agents, they've got lawyers, they've signed contracts. I mean, it is a wild, wild west. Hey, I'm fine if we can control it because, again, I'm for making money, but I mean, it's way past out of control. And the NCAA, as you know, has never really had any control. I've never been an NCAA fan, but you're going to see probably a separation of the big boys in college football and maybe even basketball move to another level. I don't know, but somebody's got to find some solution to this.
At some point, I've always said this. My thing is, at some point, you got to protect the school, and at some point, you got to protect the sport. I mean, I get it. We want to kiss the ass of 18 to 23-year-old players. Okay. The whole world wants to kiss an 18. I personally don't give a shit whether an 18 to 23-year-old has an opinion on anything. That's just me. You don't need to say that. But I got to protect the sport, and I got to protect the school. Coach, before I let you go, little surprise for you from your staff. They wanted it on the air here, so here we go. A little surprise, Coach.
All right. All right.
There you go.
Well, that was, man, I was a lot younger back then, Coach. But, hey, thank you. And it's good being on with you. And, maybe we can, if you go to a dictionary up here in D.C., you can't find a definition for common sense because there's none up here. Hopefully we can keep some in most of the states around this country, and where we can keep the greatest country that's ever been on the face of the earth and keep it going in the right direction instead of just tearing it all down and burning it up.
Jesus, I try to do things logically, and I'll never understand the logic of that. Coach, happy birthday, and have a great time with the president, and thanks for coming on. Always appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
There he goes, Tommy Tuberville, the senator. Coach Tuberville, I call him. He's great, man.